Or it broke it or something. This is the best part of the show.
No one's been in this studio more than me, and I still can't ever get these. Oh, I see. That's my missing link. Now I got it.
There we go. I give it up.
Yes! Welcome back, OSP TV, Season 2 of the Business podcast. Super excited for our special guest today, and I'll get to that in a second. First, I got to welcome on the sheriff, the co-pilot, Mr. CB. How's it going, sir? Hanging in there, man. How you doing?
Doing good. It must be getting near a golf season. You got the polo on.
I had to bust it out, man. I'm itching.
I can't wait. But moving on, our special guest of the day. Super excited to have this gentleman on. He's as good of a human as you will find. One of our leaders on the health side of things, Mr. Hassan. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
It's also nice to have a fellow beard on the show.
Did you see I'm growing mine out for you guys?
Man, CB always has a different type of style every week that I see him.
But he never gets past that like 2 or 3 week mark.
I think I might actually try. I'm not going to lie. I think I might actually try.
For me, when I first did it, it was like, that 2 to 4 week window was the itchy part. And then after you get by that, easy. But, you want me to call you Haas or Hassan on here?
You can call me Haas.
Haas, perfect. I was hoping you'd say that. For those of you that don't know, also, Haas was our MVP quarterback in a flag football tournament that we hosted for a charity event down at Ford Field a couple months ago. And Shota really hyped him up. And normally people don't live up to the hype, but this dude did for sure.
I mean, when I had receivers like you and a few others, easy targets, you know what I'm saying?
That and your brother is an absolute beast.
Dude, it was a strong 1-2 punch right there. Right off the rip, too. I think it was literally first play.
Yeah. First play, 50-yard bomb on the button.
I mean, we've been doing it together for 15 years. We've had that connection for a very long time.
For sure.
I don't even have to look at him, and I know what route he's running.
That's awesome. It was fun, and then it wasn't fun for the next week. I felt like I got hit by a truck, but we'll talk about that later, maybe. Let's get right into it, shall we?
Sure.
Right? So you ended up in OSP, but let's go back before that, right? I know there were some things we chatted before the show about touching on, right? I think a lot of people, when they see somebody, as well-rounded as you, as successful as you are, they think it was easy or, there wasn't obstacles and stuff like that. And, I'd like you to share a little background, on the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, I could definitely do that. So, my parents moved here in the late 70s. They came here from overseas, the Middle East, and they came here for opportunity. And my parents coming in, not really educated. My mom was that housewife. My dad was working at Ford for a little bit, and then he transitioned into the restaurant world.
Oh, nice.
So the community we grew up in was like a low-income community. Growing up, I never really got what I usually wanted as a childhood, but But for the most part, I look at it as a blessing. And it's a blessing because it taught me to learn how to work for what I want, and I go and get it.
So, and also appreciate it.
And appreciate it as well. There's tons of stories I can share with you, but I think the most important thing is realizing the background you come from and always remembering it. So you never go away from it. Right now, people see me sometimes in a suit, have the nice watch, and they think I got it all, but they don't remember how my knees had dirt on them. I always had hand-me-downs growing up, and it wasn't as easy. You know,
Right.
There were times where I used to share a cereal bowl with my brother because we never had enough.
Yeah.
Right. But all of that is a blessing.
100%. And then so you got into sports. Like I think a lot of us, within OSP, I don't know many people that don't have some type of sports background.
Yep.
Basketball and football, yeah.
Yeah. So in my community, my brother and I, we had 2 parks neighboring us. So yeah, we didn't get the toys, we didn't get the electronics, even though growing up, electronics, they were on the come up, but we had 2 parks right by us. So from sunrise to sundown, that's all we ever did. And we just carried that on, and that's all I ever knew was sports. I wasn't really a school guy. I did just enough. And then sports actually carried into a career eventually.
Yeah, very similar. I obviously grew up, my parents did what they could to make sure we had what we needed and did the rest. But there was a park right in between like me and my cousin's house, and it was football all the time, whether it was at that park or in the street, which led to school. What do you think, as being successful in sales and business, what do you think sports, taught you, or what like foundation did it lay, you think?
Work ethic.
Wait, you mean sales isn't easy?
Well, it has its moments. It has its moments. And you know what I learned in the sales industry? It's not about what you know, it's who you know, especially from the health side.
For sure.
And we can get into, my day-to-day in the health side in a little bit. But work ethic is definitely one thing, being disciplined. And, just having those 2 combined really has driven me into the sales field.
So you had mentioned that, you were really drawn to sports. You said you weren't really, the schooling wasn't as important to you, I guess you could say, as sports was or is still, right? Mm-hmm. So explain a little bit on your decision to, after high school, go to college to be a teacher.
You took the words out of my mouth.
So I'm actually going to shock you guys. I was hired as a teacher without a teaching degree.
Like as a substitute or like full on?
Just developing America's youth.
Let's go.
One non-certified teacher at a time, ladies and gentlemen.
So, as you guys know, there's such a huge shortage because the median income for a teacher right now is $40,000 if they're lucky.
It's pathetic. My sister, she's a career teacher, went to school for it. And it obviously frustrates me, our family, her. It's insane. Mm-hmm. It really is. But go ahead.
Yeah. So post high school, I didn't start college right away because I didn't think schooling was for me.
Sure. But
I always had my brother as a role model. When he went to school, he became a nurse practitioner. So I somewhat felt like a failure because I didn't know what I wanted to do. But because I was a basketball coach and I was doing sessions and coaching high school basketball on the side, I was working at a gas station as well. And then there was this opportunity where there was this private school that opened up brand new right next to me. And I actually got invited to play pick up basketball one day. And as a basketball, freak, I walked into the gym. I was like, wow, what a beautiful gym. Great opportunity. Like, who owns this place? Can I get my foot in the door? Sure. The guy that was taking the rental money, who was a janitor, I was like, hey, do you know how I could, potentially get a job here, do some coaching lessons, become a gym teacher? So he introduced me to the principal. And because it was private, I was able to get hired in based off of, my history with kids, working with kids in the basketball world. So I became a gym teacher about 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yep. And that's my journey into the teaching world.
So when did you start coaching basketball?
That's a great question. So my junior year in high school, I was volunteering at a local rec center that had basketball programs going on. And I ended up coaching like an elementary team at the time. And I was a varsity starter captain at my current school. And one of the kids on the team was my varsity coach's son. And we went all the way to the championship and we lost. So after my senior year, coach pulls me into the office like, Haas, you did a great job with the kids. I want you to come back next year and coach freshman ball. What do you think? I was ecstatic. I was like, absolutely. And as I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do post high school. So that was kind of a route for me to begin with. Mm-hmm. So I've been coaching for about 14 years now.
Wow.
Continuing.
That's awesome. So you still to this day
Yeah.
are involved in it.
Yeah, currently my brother and I run a program called Dearborn Elite. Dearborn Elite is the first Dearborn team to win a national hoop title.
Oh, wow.
We got papers on us and everything.
Okay.
So we're doing trainings and so on currently.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So we took,
Well done, sir.
Thank you. We took the best of the best in the city of Dearborn. So there's 3 major high schools. You have Dearborn High School, Edsel Ford, and Fordson. So what we did is we got the best ball players of the 3 high schools and we took them around the country and we won a national hoop title.
Dang,
That's awesome.
That's super cool.
Let's go. Let's transition a little bit, right? So grow up doing playing sports, ended up becoming a teacher, won a national title in basketball. How did you end up at a crazy OSP?
Yeah, great question. So as I was doing basketball sessions on the side, my aunt calls me one day and says, hey, I know this very nice guy. She was really good friends with Dean at the time. And she's like, he's looking, I guess Dean lived in a different community. He was out of Canton and came to Dearborn.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's like, he's looking for activities in Dearborn for his kid, who is his oldest son, Mehdi. She was like, would you be willing to do basketball training sessions for him? I said, absolutely. So I started training Dean's son. Dean wasn't around in the beginning. It was his wife dropping off his kid. And what I like to do as a basketball coach, because I'm always recruiting, trying to find a way to grow the basketball program, is I network with the parents.
Sure.
And finally, I met Dean one day. And my aunt told me, like, hey, he's very successful. He has a really big company. And I end up looking into it one day, but I never could figure out what the hell OSP was. I was like,
That's what we got a podcast for.
Exactly. So one day during basketball training, I was working, at the time I was working 3 jobs. I was teaching, still working still working at the gas station and doing sessions on the side to make extra income. And I was going into the part of my life where I just met this girl who's now my wife. And I know that, making 40 to 45,000, working 3 jobs wasn't going to cut it.
Right.
And like I mentioned, I did a lot of networking during basketball. So when my aunt told me that he has this company, I went up to Dean. I was like, hey, can you tell me what your company's about? I may be interested in, putting my full effort into it. He's like, yeah, sure. Let's talk someday. So we went out for coffee. He's telling me a little about OSP, and I still didn't get it. I'm like, he was telling me like marketing, door to door. He told me like, you ever see someone inside of like a Target or a Costco and they're selling you something. So I got that aspect of it. But we had a second meeting, and Dean got much deeper into OSP. He's like, all right, here's our advancement model. This is how you can grow. We can get you started. We'll have you into this office. He went about 2.5 hours of explaining what OSP was.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's a
It's a short
opportunity meeting.
Little did you know, right? Let's just back up a little bit.
Sure.
I like to recruit, so I network with the parents. Little did he know, Dean was recruiting from day one. It's his specialty. It's what he does. You can't take the guy anywhere, and he'll servers,
Seriously.
sales reps. He just starts planting seeds.
Correct.
But go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to backtrack for a second. The time I asked him to meet about the OSP opportunity was right when the pandemic started.
Okay.
And when I was teaching, everything shifted online. And I was a physical education teacher, and I told myself, there's no way I can teach kids gym online. I can't do this anymore. That was a part of another big reason why I wanted to find something different. Mm-hmm. So after 2.5 hours of Dean explaining what OSP was, he was showing me the website, and he was like, oh, we also have 5 other subsidiaries. Health is one of them. I was like, Dean, I actually went to college and I got my public health degree. And he started laughing. Dean was laughing so hard for a consistent 10 minutes. And I'm like, is this guy nuts? Why is he laughing? He's like, Hassan, I've been explaining for you for 2.5 hours what OSP marketing is, and you have your public health degree. Like, hey, let's get you into OSP health.
Right.
So then he was like, listen, I'm not going to get you the job. What I want to do is I'm going to have you interview with 2 of the other salespeople, and you got to earn it. And I loved it.
Right.
I love the challenge. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I got their interview. And
Did you interview with?
I interviewed with Justin Gay, and Dalal.
Okay.
Yep. So then I guess I killed it and I'm here now.
Beautiful. And I'm going to, have some follow-up questions on that. But
Sure.
For those listeners out there that don't know what exactly OSP Health is, what is OSP Health? What do you guys do? What do you specialize in?
Sure. OSP Health is the management company for Vibra Health Lab. Vibra Health Lab is a full-service laboratory that opened up in 2019, just as like a molecular infectious disease and toxicology lab. But then COVID hit in 2020. And when COVID hit, I mean, that was huge.
Things changed.
Yeah.
Things changed.
Well, I remember
That was huge.
we probably talked about it even at one point. The dude came and he's like, yeah, I'm going to open up a health lab. We're going into the medical center. I was like, what?
I put his pitch deck together, was like, good luck, buddy.
But
He's a beast.
Let's talk about the crazier thing. How did the health lab start?
Right.
what?
Go charity.
And
No, it was a basketball game.
Basketball. Oh, yeah. Started with basketball. They got into Vibra, I believe, at a charity event.
Yep.
True, correct, accurate in saying, I think.
Can't confirm that one.
Yeah, that's where he met Dr. Law. Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Okay, so a little more detail. So you guys you do sales, right? It's a little different, right? You guys are selling to doctors' offices, I believe.
Yeah, so essentially, Vibra Health Lab offers a service of, I'm going to use COVID as an example for now because a lot of people understand that. At the time when COVID was around, everyone needed to go get a nasal swab. Am I positive or negative? But where would you go and do it? You would do it at a doctor's office. So essentially, doctor's offices send those swabs to a laboratory. So our job is to result positive or negative. So that's our job.
Yep.
So similarly with COVID, we do blood work, we do urine toxicology, infectious disease, and much more. So my job as a salesperson, and this is where we get into, what I'm good at, my job is I go to these doctors' offices and I sell the service of why you should work with Vibra Health Lab.
Yep.
So what was your biggest, it sounds like you didn't really have a lot of experience in sales. However, you came in and you definitely hit the ground running. That's clear based on all the success. I know every year at NatCon you're always getting recognized in an award or a promotion. But what was a major challenge for you in starting in sales?
Product knowledge. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
At the time, the reason why I blew up is because not what I knew, but who I knew.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, when I coached basketball, I networked with a lot of these parents. Half of them were doctors.
Oh, wow.
Right off rip, when I came,
Bang, bang.
Karma.
Yep, I was able to introduce some of the sales teams because I was newer. I didn't know how to pitch it just yet to a lot of accounts that we currently have now.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest challenge was learning like how to sell our service because a lot of it has to do with science as well.
Sure.
Like with COVID, the pathogens and so on. So I had to learn that throughout quite some time. But the biggest bread and butter in the lab world is urine toxicology. And there's so many drugs out there. Half of them I still don't know even how to pronunciate.
And I got to give it up to you guys because even Bassam learned the ins and outs of the lab and terminology and WAFA and all the rest of the guys on your team. It's crazy. The amount of work that you guys had to put in to really get this thing off the ground and fully functioning and competent and growing like it is. So props on you guys because our folks have, our suite of products is we have a couple of them, and you guys got to test for the stars and the moon, man. You got to test for everything. So it's props to you guys.
I love the whole story, right? Because it's like the OSP way, right? Dean is a visionary, entrepreneur, innovator, coming up with this crazy idea to go into, the medical sales world. Then you've got Bassam, the master, planner, operator, chess player behind the scenes, and then attract great people is kind of the formula, and I remember when it started. What are some of your goals?
To get better every day.
Yeah. At what?
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, there's so much in the lab world that I'm still learning about, but to continuously get educated on the laboratory product side. And, I actually have something, you mentioned a challenge, and I forgot, I left out the biggest challenge. So when we go and sign up a doctor, there's no contracts in the lab world. So if I sign a doctor.
It's like a pro and a con.
Right.
So I could sign someone today and they could leave me as soon as tomorrow. So another big challenge is keeping these relationships. So we have to build a relationship, keep a relationship. And Vibra is only, we opened up in 2019. There's been labs that have been out here for
It's a hard
much
industry
longer.
to get into.
Yep. So all these relationships were already established with doctors that we don't already service. So to go into a facility and say, give me your specimens, it's not going to be so easy.
Yeah, and it sounds kind of similar from what I'm hearing you. When I teach people sales, in a generalized sense, it's build a relationship, create a problem, give a solution, close, done. Very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Anything new in the pipeline over at the health side that people should know about?
So addiction throughout all of America, as you guys know, is the biggest problem we've been facing for a very, very long time. So in the health world, that's where we capitalize, being able to help with the mission and vision of these recovery and addiction centers to help give them fast results, to let the providers know what's in their patient system so they can give proper care. So the pipeline for me right now is to attack and help with the epidemic that we're dealing with in America.
Yeah, I think everybody probably has somebody, unfortunately, in their family that's struggled with some way, shape, or form of addiction. So it's got to feel pretty good, not just working in something that's, providing opportunity for you to, build your career and provide for your family, but good cause as well. It makes it easier to get up in the morning and grind when it's for something as impactful as that. So, kudos to you guys. And first off, it's a pleasure having you here. I normally only get to see you when you're walking through here and, and at the events like R&R. That was a good time. I thought your team was going to win the volleyball, or you guys did win the volleyball. Sorry. Yeah. That was a good time. That was probably my favorite OSP R&R event ever.
I think that one, literally from start to finish, I think was the best.
It was you, Spence, DJ. Who else you guys have?
A few of the females, can't remember their names.
Yeah, it was. You guys quickly had the best team unity as I was watching. So Showtime wasn't too happy with me because for about 2 weeks when the teams came out every day, I was yelling at them you stacked your team so you could win. And then they went out in the first round.
Yeah. My team did too.
Complete opposite.
Yeah.
I made sure I didn't stack my team.
I want an apology. You sat there and yelled at me for weeks saying that I was cheating and stacking my team and we lost. Did you guys lose the first game?
Yeah, we lost the first 2 games. We were the first ones out. It was double elimination. We were the first ones out.
My team double eliminated as well.
Yeah.
So
really right off the
poor
bat.
showing.
Volleyball brings out my bad side of being competitive in a hurry. It always has, because we used to do when I was running an office, we were in some volleyball leagues, and it's easy to get frustrated.
I could see the I was watching you sometimes. I could see the frustration in your face, trying to keep it professional, but you were still you're biting your teeth. I could see that.
Yeah, you look away from the camera and let out a couple words.
I appreciate you putting me and DJ on the same team, though.
Yeah, Jesus,
I messed up. I messed up on that one, and then you guys had Justin too?
Justin.
Yeah, he's athletic, so I forgot about that.
So, okay, obviously me and CB focus more on the marketing side. You're on the health side. You'd mentioned, there's tons of subsidiaries. One of our other big ones that's always big on here is OSP Sports and Entertainment. For anybody that doesn't live, in a cave or not connected to the internet, there was some big news that came out. One of our own, Coach Larry Wade and Amir are a part of the Jake Paul. I can't believe these words are coming out of my mouth, actually. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson boxing event that I don't think I can get on Instagram, any social media, and not see this somewhere. It's kind of funny, right? So
That's great.
My best friend just got married, and a couple weeks ago we were at a bachelor party in Florida, and Amir had been traveling for about a week or two with Mike Tyson. I was like, what is
They
he
did
up
like
to?
a Benghazi tour,
like
across Libya.
What are you up to?
Yeah.
Because actually we had Mike Tyson on FaceTime, my buddy, because it was a bachelor party. The movie The Hangover, bachelor party.
Yeah.
So we had him on FaceTime, giving my buddy some marriage advice. You two, when you want that advice from Mike, I'll pass it along to you.
Great.
Me and Haas already live by these rules. Get used
Waiting
to
on
agreeing, get used to apologizing, get used to saying yes.
And we're always wrong.
And you're always wrong.
Always wrong, no matter what.
But yeah, what are you guys' Shota? What did your initial thoughts when you saw this?
So the thing is, like, the age gap is, first of all, like, crazy. I think Mike Tyson's almost 60.
Yep.
Jake Paul is, I believe, 26, 27.
Yep.
Right? So for them to be that far off, it's like it's double his age.
So
Yeah.
More than that.
there are a lot of critics that are talking about the age gap, but I think Mike Tyson can
100%.
still knock out
Dude,
anyone that's
bro.
Yeah,
all
did you
the,
see
all the
training
clips.
video?
Oh yeah,
I got a
There's
training
more
video.
than
Let me
one.
pull up.
Every
I was
day
like-
he's dropping one.
I was like, is this in fast
Yeah.
forward? Oh my God.
The fun is just beginning.
He's still terrifying.
He's got a day too.
He's still terrifying.
Yeah, there's another video I can.
I remember the first time I met him was, were you at NatCon in Chicago?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was there.
And I remember shaking his hand. And it was like the most gentle, soft handshake I'd ever had, mixed with, it was like shaking a bear. Like he was so gentle, but you knew he could probably crush my hands. Like that's how it felt.
So this is him training right now. So he's 57. Oh, he looks like a beast.
Now, no disrespect to Jake Paul. I actually have a lot of respect for Jake Paul. Obviously, he's from Ohio, so What's he
Look,
Ohio
at this,
boys.
look at this. Look at this. Look at his body, bro. At 57.
I hope I look like that when I'm 57.
You say 250. Was he lifting that much?
Listen, when you get critics at the level they are, it means you're doing something right. Honestly, because it's like the Floyd Mayweather approach, right? You're going to play to your fan base and you're going to play to the critics. Because if you get both sides of the aisle talking about it, you're going to make a fortune.
Oh, for
and let's
sure.
just be real.
Tickets will sell.
That's the end goal, And I bet you if you ask most of those critics if they're going to watch it, the answer is going to be yes.
So who we rooting for? Because I know Coach Larry Wade trains the Paul, but Mike Tyson's also our guy too. So who we rooting for here?
I'm going to say for a fun, entertaining war where both come out healthy.
I'll take Tyson, but let's be real. Let's be real. We got people on both sides here. Everyone's taking home a bag, so everybody's winning.
Anyhow, right? So I think it's at AT&T Stadium. We're going to have to bring on CLW as it gets closer. Obviously, another OSP Sports Entertainment family member, been to several conferences. He'll be training Jake. I'll tell you what, ever since he became Jake's trainer after the Fury fight, dude's been a different animal.
On another level, man.
All first round knockouts, I think.
Yeah.
And what most people don't understand is I think at first he got into it, Jake, is like, fun hobby, moneymaker, whatever. But like dude's legit now fighting real boxers, trying to build a resume to work his way up to become, a world title holder. And I have a lot of respect because the dude works hard, and it just goes to show, you put your mind to something, how quickly you can make some progress.
I mean, honestly, it's a great entrepreneurial move. He saw an opportunity and he's capitalizing on it.
Well, he's doing it the right way too. He opened his own promotion, and he's actually leading the movement for fighter rights, essentially. He promotes Amanda Serrano. And she's on record as saying she makes so much more money than she ever made because of him. And he does it all the way through the cards. Like he takes less money than he could and pays it to the other fighters, which is really cool.
Yeah, a lot of these YouTubers, when they wanted to get into the boxing career, they did it just for entertainment. You could tell that he's far different from all these other YouTubers because he's taking it more serious, more into a profession, and his mindset is just on another level.
Speaking of social media, did you see yesterday they passed a bill, what was it, in the House or the Senate?
TikTok.
To ban TikTok.
They're banning TikTok.
What are your thoughts on that, Shota? I don't use TikTok, so I don't really care. But
personally, I think it's great. I think TikTok is poison for the mind, especially for the youth. I think kids need to get off of it. I mean, if you hear about all the access you give them by, allowing them to be on your phone, the amount of information that you're giving them is honestly scary. What they're doing, they're spying on you. So me personally, like, I have the app just because people send me videos from time to time, but I don't ever use it for like content consumption. I think it's really bad for you. I mean, like, you just gotta be careful with social media too.
It seems I don't have the app, and it seems to me, people that I see that are on it, it's the most addicting of all the platforms.
It's very addicting.
Like, people get on there and just scroll for hours.
Very. You know what's scary is that, like, how fast you can go viral on it too.
Right.
And that's what makes it so addicting, the amount of views that you can get with no followers. Like, for me, like, I had 0 followers. I posted 10 videos one day. The next morning, I woke up with 15,000 followers. The end of the 24 hours, I was at 30,000 followers.
What?
And then 3 months, I was at 150,000 followers. So it's very easy to, like, get addicted to it. Like, it was changing my mental health because I was getting so addicted to it so fast because it's a rush. At first, I didn't believe the numbers. I'm like, this is BS, like, you can't grow that fast.
Sure.
But, like, when I started realizing it's, like, real followers, I'm like, okay, this is scary how fast you can become famous because nobody's prepared to be famous, So, like, when it happens that fast, and then, like, you're just walking down the street and people start recognizing you, it changes how you live your life and how you start thinking. And it, like, started taking a toll on me. That's why, like, I don't use TikTok anymore.
How many followers do you have now?
It's still 150,000. After I reached that, I just stopped using it. I close it every time it opens up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to stay off of it, but it's scary, bro.
The first time Shota actually ever seen me was on
TikTok. Oh, so that's a funny story. So, when I was living in Japan, I was still on TikTok. It was 2 months before I even knew that I was going to move to the US.
Okay.
I was still living there, working full time. And then I was so busy, but I just had one day where I had time to just, kind of be lazy. So I was on TikTok and I was scrolling. And I remember seeing this video of a barber shop where the idea was that, like, when your client makes awkward eye contact with you when you're trying to cut their hair. And it was the barber cutting the hair, but the eye was just, like, following the barber. Like, everywhere he went, the eye was just following, and the barber was like, all right, bro, stop looking at me, and he would turn him around, but then, he'll go grab another clipper, turn back around, and you just see him, like, looking at the barber again. So it was like an awkward, funny video, and I remember, like, laughing at it, and that just kept on scrolling.
And that video was Haas.
That video was Haas, and that barber is also now my barber now, which is so funny.
What a world! You just have all these crazy. You were supposed to end up here.
I was supposed to end up here because he was also the first friend I made here, but I didn't recognize him at first. He offered to take me to the car dealership because I needed to buy a car. So as we were driving there, we bring up TikTok and how, like, I used to do TikTok in Japan, and he was like,
trying to impress him.
He's like, I actually had a video that went viral. It had like 6 million views. I was like, oh, no way. like, what was it? And he started explaining the video, how it was like the barber video. And I was just like,
it's this guy?
no way, bro.
I know you.
You're TikTok famous.
I was like,
my
no
God.
way. Like, I remember seeing that video, and like the fact that like he was the first friend I made, he was helping me out when I first moved here. Like, I was like, that's wild. Like, we were supposed to meet. Like, I was supposed to move here.
That's sweet.
Well, and I don't know if you guys know this, but Shota started in an office in the field representing one of our clients years ago. He was already in the business
6 years
6 years ago. And then when we created OSP University and I filmed all the training videos, he was the one that we sourced it to.
Well, I was still living in Japan. I had no idea I was moving here. I didn't know what OSP was until I started watching those videos and started editing them.
And the first thing he said to me when I first met him, he goes, I feel like I already know you. And I was like, why? He goes, I'm the one who did all the editing on the OSP University training videos. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Bro, it was hours of my life editing the
Literally.
OSP videos.
Oh, you got a crash course in sales.
Yeah.
Okay, reeling it back in here. So you had a pretty big life milestone recently. Had your first child.
Yep.
What's that been like?
It's a miracle.
Yeah.
Honestly, like he's going on 10 months now.
Time flies. I feel like it
Just
was
happened, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And every day I go home, I ask myself, is this really my child? Like, I'm not
Right.
even used to it yet. And sometimes my wife and I are sitting together and we look at our child and say, is that ours? Because it's just so incredible. And, like I said, it's a blessing and we're super happy to have him. And he's just a joy every day when I'm out in the field and I'm working really hard and I might have that little bit of a headache and I go home to my son. It's just very relaxing
great.
and calming. Yeah.
How's it been finding that kind of work-life balance now?
It's pretty tough. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that one triangle that says like social life, family time, work, and you can only have two of the three.
Mm-hmm.
You guys ever see that
Yeah.
before?
Yep.
So I'm definitely feeling that I can only pick two for now.
Right. What advice would you give to somebody that's maybe about to go through that or new to kind of having those responsibilities?
Make every moment precious.
Right.
We always look for milestones in our kids, like, oh, I can't wait until he crawls. I can't wait until he walks. I can't wait until he talks. But then in reality, when they get older, you miss when they were a baby. So appreciate every moment, when you are a new parent.
Totally. CB?
What is some advice that you could give, some of the young entrepreneurs that have, children? What advice could you give them to, I guess, overcome some of their challenges of?
I would say just being a little bit more organized. When you go out into sales, like a lot could hit you at once. So being prepared for that. And when we first had our child, I always planned like weeks ahead what I'm going to do into the field and so on. But now I'm trying to plan where I could make time for my son. So always being organized, plan ahead, make sure you can fit it into your schedule. I think that's the most important thing.
No, I think that's spot on.
Totally. I think it's great advice. As we wind this thing down, I tend to always sneak this in at some point just because, I think it's the culmination of our year, where almost all the subsidiaries come together for national conference, right? This year it's in Cleveland, Ohio, the land. What do you love most about NatCon?
The culture.
Yeah.
I've never been a part of something so grand. And my first NatCon was in Chicago with Tyson.
What a one to start. Let me tell you, my first OSP NatCon was a little bit different.
Likewise, the Rensen one.
Oh, yeah, the infamous where, Dustin thanked everybody except for Miss Britt. She brought that up the other day still. I'll never live it down. It's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah,
it's like the first thing I do anymore whenever I give a speech. Thank you for everything you do, Miss Britt. All out of the way. Make sure I don't forget it. Priority one. But the culture. What do you mean by that?
You just see a bunch of young, energetic, entrepreneurial minded people all coming together and you network, you get to meet a lot of people, share your story. And then we have our breakout sessions, we have our events, and then, we have the grand gala day. It's just all well put together, all organized. It's just beautiful to be a part of. So I never really, experienced anything like that.
Yeah, no, totally. And you use the word again. And I think it's what I've taken most from you today is you let off with it, right? And it's not what you know or what you've done. In today's day and age, maybe it's always been like that. It's who you know, right? And if I was giving advice to a young aspiring entrepreneur or business person or anyone in that realm for that matter, is network. Take care of people, build relationships, do the right things, right? And then, typically those things come back around when you need them, or, when you least expect it. So I think it's a great message. I think it's a great skill set to have and way to live, to be honest with you. So I'm really glad you shared that.
No, thank you guys for allowing me to share it.
CB, any closing thoughts?
Honestly, man, very excited to see your growth this year. The journey's been fun these last 3-4 years with you, but looking forward to a big year and seeing where you take the lab.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, there's so much in front of me. I just got to take it one step at a time.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you for coming on the show. Congrats on the family. Congrats on all your successes. Look forward to you throwing me some tutties next year at the flag football event. As always, folks, subscribe to OSP TV if you have not. But we're going to call it quits right now. My team, my family, my OSP. We out of here.